Hi, I'm Alex. I am not a talented cook. I make the weeknight meals and the occasional burnt Christmas ham. But lately I've been trying to improve my skills in the kitchen. I'm not skilled, but I am enthusiastic. I have with me today Marcella Hazan's The Essentials of Classic Italian Cooking. Now, according to the internet, Marcella Hazan's books actually introduced the US and the UK to classic Italian cooking and their techniques. So I figured to start off, we can attempt her famous tomato sauce with onion and butter. Now, on tomato sauce, she says, for a long time, Italian dishes abroad were categorized by a heavy-handed use of tomato that for many came to represent a coarse and discredited style of cooking. The moment for major reassessment may be at hand. I'm here for this reassessment. This sauce uses 3 ingredients: butter, onion, and tomato, either fresh or canned. So I figured today we're gonna try both. We're gonna start with the simplest version, the canned one. 1 medium onion, chopped in half and peeled. She doesn't say anything about it, but I'm presuming that I cut off these end pieces. It seems like she wants the whole thing to stay intact in the sauce, and that might fall apart. It's kind of better than having a root in there. 500 grams of tinned imported Italian plum tomatoes. These are San Marzano tomatoes that cost 4 times as much, but apparently are required for this dish. And the tins only come in 400 grams, so we're using 1 and a bit. They smell a bit nicer than your usual ones, I guess. It's tomato. She says to cut these up, and I don't want to get juice all over my chopping board. We're gonna be making it in this. So I'm gonna strain the juices in. Okay, that didn't really work. Pick them out. And then somehow 1/4 of the other one. Let's say 2 tomatoes, maybe 3 for good measure. And into the bowl, the pot. I'm already getting sauce on the book. 75 grams or 2.5 ounces of butter. That's nowhere near enough. 35, 60, 76 grams of butter. She doesn't say how much salt, but just some. And the onions. It really doesn't feel like enough. I'm wondering if I should have used a smaller pot. If the pot is broad and shallow, your sauce will cook faster. You alone can tell when it's ready. So now we have to cook this at a slow but steady simmer for 45 minutes, or however long it takes for a shallow wide pan. Just got to get that butter incorporated. And now we leave it uncovered for 45 minutes or until the fat floats free. So our second option is using fresh tomatoes. I think the reason why most people seem to be using canned tomatoes when they make this recipe is Marcella says, if completely satisfactory fresh tomatoes are not available, it is better to use tinned. Satisfactory tomatoes seems to be fully ripe plum style tomatoes. Every plum tomato that I tried to find was those sort of artificially ripe, fairly firm. The recipe wasn't going to stand a chance. However, at my local grocer, I came across these things called heirloom tomatoes, and they seem to be quite soft, and hopefully that means that they're naturally ripe. And they look kind of funky and old world, so I think they're gonna be our best bet. Pot of boiling water, remove the stem, and plunge into boiling water for a minute or less. As soon as they're cool enough to, maybe run some cold water over it. Then as soon as they're cold enough to handle, peel and chop. Cut out the stem. And, oh, okay. Oh, skin comes right off. See, I would have thought that leaving the skin on would actually make a bit of sense. I was reading a thing about making jam, and apparently this has a thing in it called pectins, which helps a jam set, and you'd think that would sort of help thicken the sauce, but what do I know? I didn't write a cookbook. And then it seems to just be the same as before. We chop them up. I feel like I'm seeing the appeal of the canned ones already. And into another pot. Yes, I know it's big, I'm making the same mistake again. Now again, 1 medium onion. Turns out a lot of my onions were a bit smaller than what I'd call medium. That equals 1, right? Small and small equals medium. Cut in half and peel. Goodbye to the ends and repeat. Into the pot, 75 grams of butter, and over to the stove. So we're meant to break up the fresh chunks of tomato with the back of a wooden spoon, which is proving a little bit difficult, maybe as it sort of cooks down a little bit more. Also, it is looking a little bit more runny from the fresh tomatoes, so I don't think I'm going to feel too guilty about having this on a slightly higher heat. Maybe it will reduce down. While those are bubbling away, we'll get the pasta on. Now, Marcella says that this is an unsurpassed sauce for potato gnocchi, but it also goes well with spaghetti, rigatoni, penne. I'm not really game enough to attempt some gnocchi yet, so we're gonna go with good old spaghetti. So we're gonna fill up our pot with a minimum of 3 liters of water. She says we really should use 4, but 3 is the minimum, and my pot's not that big. Seems like a lot, but 1.5 tablespoons of salt. Getting clouds of salt. This is standard 15 ml tablespoons, by the way, not the weird Australian 20 ml. Now the water's boiling away, we'll add the spaghetti. Gently coax it in. Check out these sauces. The fresh one's got a bright orange, it looks fresh, and the canned one's turned into this deep orange, almost like a red. We're gonna check if this pasta's ready. So close, another minute. And time to drain. Shake it all about. And we're gonna divide it up into 2 bowls. Remove the onion. Oh, I've lost a bit of onion. A bit of pepper. Look, this isn't in the recipe, but I just really like pepper. Onto the pasta. And the fresh one. I should have gotten a bigger... Into the pasta. I'll give them a good toss. The fresh one's looking more like pasta with tomato chunks in it. I was trying to squish them up with the back of that wooden spoon. Oh, there's a bit of onion I missed. Can someone tell me, are there actually any pasta tossing utensils out there? These are salad servers. Grating some Parmesan. It's the real stuff. And that's it. So this is the real test, the housemate test. I'm not going to tell you which one's which. We're just going to try and you give me your honest opinion.
Honest opinion. Am I allowed to put cheese on it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mini cheese.
Don't know why I put the spoons out. I don't think either of us actually do the twirly thing.
I'm going to learn. I need to look fancy. I can't do this. Really yummy.
I was expecting this to taste just like a whole bunch of tomatoes, but there's actually a lot going on there. I mean, it's the butter that kind of makes it work.
Butter fixes everything.
Butter fixes everything.
Really good. Thinking more about like the butter and the roundness of it. There's like acidity in it, but it's not the main thing.
Should I go get another bowl and we try the other one?
Making me wait.
Ah!
Attack of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
We'll see how different this is.
It looks different. Just by looking at it, I feel like this is going to be the fresh tomato.
Yeah.
I could tell just by looking at it. That one's more acidity first. You get the more kick that you get from fresh tomato.
It's something that tastes, I don't want to say green because that sounds unripe, but it reminds me of the smell of the vine that the tomato comes on.
That's one you have as it's getting warm later into summer. That's the one you have in winter when you're cold and you feel miserable, and it'll make you feel happy and at home.
Do you have a preference?
It was like the first proper cold day today, so I think I'm probably preferring that one.
I think the main thing for me is that both of them are good. Unless you got the absolute perfect tomatoes, then you're supposed to use canned tomatoes. But this had a lot to offer. Now, it might be that it was $15 a kilo. You probably wouldn't get the same thing with, you know, little Romas from Woolies.
It was actually worth getting the really nice tomatoes.
Yeah.
Like, this is still really good. It just tastes, you know, it's not green, it tastes fresher.
Well, I think that we're going to be eating pasta for the next week or so. Thanks for joining and watching me learn a little bit more about cooking. Definitely try this yourself. It's just the easiest thing that you could make. Yeah. Thanks for watching.